Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Hello everyone. First of all, let me introduce our group. My name is Adinda Aulia Rahmah and my partner Noor Mutiah. So, in this discussion, we will talk about able to analyze three-way Anova test. So, this is the table of the content. The first one is about understanding of three-way ANOVA. The second one is about data preparation for three-way ANOVA. The third is interpretation of analysis result. The fourth is example of application of three-way ANOVA in research. And the last but not least is conclusion. So, what is three-way ANOVA? Three-way ANOVA is a type of statistical analysis used to test the influence of three independent factors or independent variables on the dependent variable. In this analysis, these three factors may interact with each other, meaning their influence may depend not only on the factors separately, but also on how they interact. The result of the three-way ANOVA will provide information about whether there is a significant effect of each factors and the interaction between them on the dependent variable. This is three factors in three-way ANOVA. The first factor. This is the first major factor you want to research. For example, in a study on the effects of exercise on body weight, the first factor could be the type of exercise, such as cardio, weightlifting, or yoga. The second factor. This is the second main factor which also has an influence on the dependent variable. In the workout example above, the second factor could be the duration of the workout, such as 30 minutes, 60 minutes, or 90 minutes. Third factor. This is the third main factor, which also has an influence on the dependent variable. For example, in the same context, a third factor could be a factor such as the age of the participants, such as young adults, middle adults, and older adults. Three-way ANOVA allows you to test the effect of each factor separately as well as the interactions between them on the dependent variable in one statistical analysis. This helps understand how these factors contribute to your research result. The next is data preparation for three-way ANOVA. This is the preparation of data for analysis. The first step is data collection. Collect data for the dependent variable and factors you will analyze. Make sure this data is collected carefully and fits your research design. The second is data organization. Organize your data in a table or spreadsheet. The first column in the dependent variable, while the following columns are data for each factor you are analyzing. For example, if you have three factors, like A, B, and C, you will have a column for each factor. The third is code data. If your factors are categories or qualitative variables, code the data. For example, if the first factor is the type of exercise, like cardio, weights, and yoga, code it as 1, 2, and 3. The fourth is statistical analysis. Use statistical software to run a three-way ANOVA. Enter the data into the software and determine the dependent variable and factors to be tested. The software will calculate statistics and present the results. The last step is interpretation of results. After the analysis, interpret the results to determine whether there are significant effects of the analyzed factors and interaction between them. The next is checking the requirements of assumptions in the analysis. The first step is assumptions of homogeneity of variance. You need to check whether the variance of each group combination in different factors is comparable or homogeneous. This can be checked with a test such as Levene test. If homogeneity or variance is not met, the result of the three-way Anova analysis may be unreliable. The second is assumptions of normality. You need to ensure that your data is normally distributed. This can be checked with normality tests such as Kolmogorov-Smirnov or Shapiro-Wilk. If the data is not normally distributed, the result of the three-way Anova analysis may be incorrect. The third is independence. Ensure that data between groups on different factors are independent of each other. This means that observations in one group do not influence observation in other groups. If these assumptions are not met, you may need to look for alternative analysis or perform data transformation to meet the assumptions. Checking the assumptions requirements is an important step in conducting a valid three-way Anova analysis and correctly interpreting the result.
And the next is interpretation of analysis result. Interpret main effect result from three factors. In three-way Anova analysis, main effect refers to the influence of each independent factor or independent variable separately on the dependent variable. To interpret the main effect result of the three factors, you need to pay attention to number 1. Main effect first factor. This indicates the extent to which the first factor, for example, type of exercise, significantly influence the dependent variable, for example, body weight. Number 2, second factor main effect. This refers to the influence of the second factor or exercise duration separately on the dependent variable. Number 3, third factor main effect. This is the influence of a third factor or participant age separately on the dependent variable. You can interpret the main effect result by checking the significant values or p-value produced by the three-way Anova analysis. If the p-value is less than a predetermined significant level, or usually 0.05, you can conclude that there is a significant main effect of the factor. If the p-value is greater than the significant level, you cannot assume there is a significant main effect. Evaluate interaction between these factors. Evaluation of interaction between factors in three-way Anova analysis is an important step to understand how these factors influence each other on a dependent variable. Interaction occurs when the influence of one factor depends on the level or condition of another factors. Number 1, pay attention to the terms interaction. In the result of a three-way Anova analysis, you will see the term interaction, which refers to a combination of two or more factors. For example, interaction between factor A and factor B. This indicates that there is a possible interaction between these factors. Number 2 is result analysis. Evaluate statistical result for interaction. If the p-value associated with an interaction is less than a predetermined significant level, or usually 0.05, then you can conclude that there is a significant interaction between the factors. That is, the influence of one factor on the dependent variable is not consistent across levels of other factors. Number 3 is graphs or plots. Creating graphs or plots can help you visualize interaction. If the graph shows that the lines or pattern differ between different groups or factors, it indicates an interaction. And the next is examples of application of three-way Anova in research. An example of a case study that illustrates the application of three-way Anova is research on the influence of three different factors on employee performance in a company. These factors are: first factor is training. the level of training received by employee, low, medium, or high. Second factor is work experience. Number of years of employee work experience, 1 year, 5 years, or 10 years. And the third factor is motivation. Employee motivation level, low, medium, or high. Researchers want to understand how the combination of these factors affect employee performance, which is measured in the form of work productivity. In this study, three-way Anova will be used to evaluate the influence of each factor, training, work experience, and motivation, separately, and how this factor can interact with each other in influencing work productivity. The result of this analysis can provide insight into the factors that have the greatest influence of employee performance and whether there is a combination of factors that produce a significant effect. Data from this research can help companies develop more effective human resource policies and support improved employee performance. And the last is conclusion. Three-way ANOVA is a statistical method used to test the influence of three independent factors on a dependent variable in scientific research. This allows you to examine the effect of each factor separately and how they interact with each other on the dependent variable. In three-way ANOVA analysis, you need to check the assumption requirements such as homogeneity of variance, normality, and independence of data before relying on the result. The result of the analysis will produce main effect for each factor and the result of the interaction between these factors. Main effect indicate the influence of each factor separately on the dependent variable, while interaction reveal the extent to which the influence of one factor depends on the level of another factor. The result of three-way ANOVA analysis can provide deep insight into the complexity of the relationship between the factors analyzed and their impact on the dependent variable, which can be used for decision making and improvement in various research contexts. I think that's all from us. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Bye-bye.